Hi guys, Combat Station here, and we are back today, and we're trying something new with the channel. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing some UFC 269 predictions. Dustin Poirier, Charles Oliveira, great fight, great card. So let's get right into it. So starting off, we got Priscilla Catchaway versus Julian Robertson. Let's start off with the zombie girl. So Priscilla, she is a dangerous brawler. She'll walk forward, take your shots to give her own. She has power in both hands and is coming off 2 wins against Shayna Dobson and Gina Mazzani. Now I reckon Gina Mazzani is quite similar to Jillian, how she needs to fight on the ground, but I believe she's less dangerous when it gets there. Speaking of Jillian, let's get to her. She's coming off 2 losses to Miranda Maverick and Taylor Santos, both physically strong flyweights who can control her on the ground. Now, Priscilla Catchaway, she is horrible takedown offense and horrible striking defense. So I believe a club and sub is available here. And I also believe just holding her down to a decision is available for Jillian. End of the day, I think Jillian is going to take her down, hit her with ground and pound, whole of round one, attempt submission, soften her up. Round two, Priscilla's going to be damaged, and similar to the Shevchenko fight, round two, rear naked choke, Julian Robertson. Now we have Randy the Zohan Costa versus Tony Primetime Kelly. Now we got Randy Costa, aka Mr. Reese's. He lost his last fight, Adrian Yanez, where in round one he was peppering Yanez, hitting him with a jab, hitting him with a head kick, hitting him with everything except the kitchen sink. Now, Randy Costa, he's very powerful, but Adrian Yanez, who is a savage and will be ranked in the future, was able to take the damage, and round two, Randy Costa had nothing left. Similar to the Brandon Davis fight he had, where Randy Costa put everything he had into beating Brandon Davis, but in round two, he got tired and submitted. But when Randy Costa fights at low level competition, he will blow him out there in round one, get rid of them, and he will knock you out with a head kick, most likely, or just any combo of punches. On to Tony Kelly. He hasn't fought for a year and a bit now. I don't really rate Tony Kelly. He's durable. He's good at I guess he's an alright striker, alright takedowns, alright everything. As I said, durable, good cardio. But he really brings nothing to the table. And I believe if Randy Costa has been pacing himself a bit in training to pace himself, he should knock out Tony Kelly. So I'm going to take a Randy Costa round one head kick knockout, following him to the ground, finishing with punches. Onto the Ryan the Wizard Hall versus Derek Minner. Starting with Ryan Hall, he may be the weirdest player I've ever seen in the octagon. He will non-stop sell out for heel hooks, and on the stand-up, he has a weird sideways stance with his hands down. He looks like he's almost just bored in the fight, but out of nowhere, he will wing a spin kick out there. He'll throw leg kicks, body kicks, and he'll throw side stomps. Now, Derek Minner, if we're breaking him down, he is similar to Randy Costa in his round one a bust. But instead of kicking your head off, he'll rip your arm off or he'll take your neck home. Derek Minner recently lost to Darren Elkins in his last fight, where he was controlling Darren Elkins all of round one, but just randomly in round two, he got reversed and he was just finished from there with ground and pound. Now, I don't know who to go with in this fight because Ryan Hall, there is a chance that people have figured out his style and what he's trying to do, where he just, without getting your leg, he has nothing really. But I do think that Ryan Hall's stand-up is a bit underrated because no one wants a part of his ground game, not even Derek Minner, who only has one finish on the stand-up. So I believe that Ryan Hall, he's going to get a round two submission. Because if Derek Minner goes on the ground with him, I believe Derek Minner's getting submitted. And if he tries to stand up, he's going to gas out in round two. Ryan Hall may even catch him with a few kicks. And then when it goes to the ground, get his leg and tear his knee off. So my prediction, Ryan Hall, the minus 220 favourite. Let's continue. Going on to the next fight on the card, we have Alex Perez versus Matt Danger Schnell. Starting with Alex Perez, very good flyweight fighter, good jiu-jitsu, good wrestling, good calf kicks, and a lot of volume. He fought for the belt in his last fight, where, he looked alright on the stand-up, but when it hit the ground, Figueiredo's advanced jiu-jitsu skills got to him a bit, but he did almost take down Figueiredo, where Figueiredo had to grab the cage to stop from going on his back. Now, going to Matt Schnell, wrestler, quite an opportunistic fighter. If he hurts you, he will jump on a submission, get you out of there. He was recently not even that long ago on a 5-fight win streak, but that got stopped by Pantoja where he got knocked out in round 1. Now, saying he got knocked out in round 1, Matt Schnell has always had a problem with his chin where he does not take damage the best. And I believe Alex Perez can take damage better than him, as Alex Perez is a scrapper and he does take heavy shots a lot in his fights. Now, the fight before the title shot, Alex Perez did leg kick Josiah Formiga, who is no longer with the UFC. But that just shows the danger level, as Formiga is a very solid fighter and even has a win over the former champ in Davison Figueiredo. If I'm predicting this fight, I'm going to take Alex Perez by round 3 TKO over Matt Schnell after kicking his leg, to breaking him down to the body head, getting maybe a few takedowns, wearing him down, and then I believe he's going to go forward and finish him in round 3, most likely dropping him and ground and pounding him. So take that to the bank. Alex Perez finishes match now. Okay, on to the next fight. Erin Blanchard's fighting Miranda Maverick. Both of these women, young flyweight prospects who are most likely going to be in the top 5 in the future. But they're fighting now for some reason, so I guess we have to break it down. Starting off with Erin Blanchard. She's coming off a win over Sarah Alper, who I believe is one of the worst women on the roster. And she has one loss to Tracy Cortez, who is another up-and-coming flyweight. So you never know. That is not the worst loss to have. Now, going on to Miranda, Fear the Maverick. What a name. She's coming off a loss to Macy Barber, which she did not lose. And I had a bet on Macy Barber. So I'm going to be honest here. Miranda Maverick got shagged. Now, let's take a look at the odds. She's plus 115. How's Miranda Maverick the underdog in this fight? Well, I guess she's the underdog. Now, I can see where they're coming from, but I believe that Miranda Maverick, with her experience, she's going to be able to keep the fight standing, get her own takedowns, use her Muay Thai to break down Erin Blanchard, and win a decision. But no matter what, both these women have a bright future in the division. So, on to the next one. Now on to the headliner of the early prelims, Andre, not even going to try to say the middle name, Munhoz, versus Eric, your boy Anders. I've interviewed Eric, nice guy, and he's also a very good fighter. Starting with Andre Munhoz, last fight he submitted the ghost of Jacare Souza, 50 years old, I believe. Nah, joking, he was 40 something. But, you know, Jacare did look capable in that fight, and no matter what, submitting Jacare, even when he's 80, is probably a hard feat to do. So, credit to Andre Munhoz. For that, he submitted Bartosz Fabinski, who was the favourite going into that. But the one way you beat him is by submission. So Andre wrapped his arm up and got him to tap. And before that, beat Arroyo, who is one of the worst middleweights in the division. But he was beating Buckley, so it depends what you rate Buckley of how you rate Arroyo. But Andre Munhoz was able to control him to a decision. Eric Anderson's last fight, he beat Darren Stewart by decision. He had a no contest where it should have been a knockout, where he should have knocked out Darren Stewart, and before that he lost to Jotko. Yeah, this is a tough fight because Eric Anderson's decent takedown defense, he has good stand-up, but I believe if it hits the ground, Andre Munhoz will submit him. So, from that, I'm just going to take Andre Munhoz, the younger guy, to get the takedown and get a submission, I believe, in round 2. We got Bruno Silva versus Jordan, the Beverly Hills Ninja, Wright. Now, I had to say the full name because that is the best nickname I've ever heard, the Beverly Hills Ninja. If we're doing a nickname competition, Jordan Wright's got that 10-8. But we're not doing it off nicknames, we're doing it off the fight. So let's break down Bruno Silva. Bruno Silva's coming off a win over Andrew Sanchez, which was a comeback win as he was losing the first 2 rounds. But when it hit round 3, Andrew Sanchez was toast. He was tired. Bruno Silva did what he had to, walked him down, got the finish. I was on Andrew Sanchez in that fight, so I was disappointed, but Bruno Silva proved to me that he is an animal. Before that, he smashed Wellington Turman's face into the canvas, and Wellington's coming off a close fight against Sam Alvey, so I don't really hold that in high regards, but the way he finished him, I respect. On to Jordan Wright. Jordan Wright in his last fight, he knocked out Jamie Pickett round 1. Jamie Pickett, very durable fighter, not the best skill-wise, but, you know, it ain't a bad win. He got him out of there in round 1, which a lot of fighters haven't been able to do. So, credit to Jordan Wright. Before that, he got knocked out by Joaquin Buckley. Do you know, a lot of people would be knocked out by Buckley, but the way it happened, Buckley put it on him, was losing the first round, but the second he connected clean, Jordan Wright, everything went downhill for him. He survived barely to round 2, but then he got finished off right 10 seconds into the round. He also got knocked out by Fluffy Hernandez, but Fluffy got caught with weed, so obviously that fight, I count that as a Fluffy Hernandez knockout, and Fluffy Hernandez ain't the most powerful guy. Now, looking into this fight, I would personally take the under 2.5 or Jordan Wright round 1, but my prediction is going to be Bruno Silva. As Bruno Silva, you have to smash him over the head with a bat to get him out there. And I believe Jordan Wright's chinny and has cardio issues. But, as I said, if you're going to make any bet, the under or Jordan Wright round 1, because he is so dangerous in that round. So, my prediction, Bruno Silva, round 2 knockout, on to the next. Now we got the battle of the thick boys, Augusto Sakai versus Taito Avesia. Now, this is a fight you'd expect to find outside your local McDonald's, but we're getting it in the octagon. So, I'll take that. So, we got Augusto Sakai, who's coming off 2 losses. He got knocked out in round 1 by Jairzinho Rosenstruik. No shame in that. Jairzinho, if he lets his hands go like he did against Augusto, is a very dangerous fighter. Before that, he got brutally finished by Alistair Overeem, that is Alistair Overeem's last win, where he took him down, ground and pound him. But in Augusto's defense, if it was 3 rounds, he would have most likely won the fight, as he was onto Alistair Overeem early until he gassed. On to Taito Avesia. He is on a 3-fight winning streak against Greg Hardy, Harry Hunsucker, and Stefan Struve. Now, I think Greg Hardy is an underrated fighter. I think Greg Hardy is a good win to have. But I believe Stefan Struve is as washed as they come, and Harry Hunsucker shouldn't even be in the UFC. But if we look into what they bring skill-wise, Taito Avesia, he brings good calf kicks, good power, and he brings decent boxing, where Augusto Sakai, he brings more volume with him, where he's not the most powerful heavyweight, and he can mix in the clinch and takedowns if he needs to. Augusto Sakai, his volume can be dangerous, as shown when he brutally basically hammered Marcin Tybura to the ground with overhands. But I'm taking Taito Avesia to kick out his leg, and most likely the beginning of round 2, knock out Augusto, maybe even the end of round 1. Because I believe Augusto, when he fights power punches, I wouldn't say scared, but he's more timid. He doesn't want to throw as much. And when he gets hit, I think it's more of a mental thing. He just goes down and he accepts the loss. And Taito Avesia also, they're both young heavyweights, but Ty's 28, he's 30. I believe Ty's took less damage. He has been knocked out by Junior Dos Santos, but the damage Augusto took in his last 2 fights, much more than Ty's took in his whole career. But be wary, Ty has not the best ground game, so if Augusto mixes in the takedowns, there is a path there, but I don't believe he will. So at evens, I'm going to take Taito Avesia, not the most confident pick, but I believe it should come. I love this fight. Pedro Munhoz versus Dominick Cruz. So starting with Pedro Munhoz, he's coming off a loss in his last fight to Jose Aldo, where he got just completely outclassed. No shame in that though, as Jose Aldo has revealed himself as maybe right behind Piotr Jan as the 2nd best or even 3rd best bantamweight in the world. Before that, he kicked out Jimmy Rivera's leg and won an entertaining decision there. And he lost to Frankie Edgar and Aljamain Sterling before that. Now, I'd like to bring attention to Pedro's win again. I thought he won, but he's lost to Frankie Edgar. Frankie Edgar has been exposed as having no chin recently, and Pedro Munhoz was not able to get the finish there when everyone else has been able to. Now, I'm just saying, Pedro Munhoz, I think his power is slightly overrated, and I feel he is quite one-dimensional with the calf kicks, so he can keep you in place and he'll try to brawl you. Going on to Dominick Cruz. Dominick Cruz, he is a mover. He has overhands, basically, where he'll dip into his punches and he will just attack, step back. Now, with Dominick Cruz, he's 36 years old and he has slowed down a bit. But Pedro ain't no young gun himself. He's 35. I think Dominick Cruz is going to be able to use his movement effectively. Hopefully, he doesn't eat that many calf kicks. Because if he does get hit with too many, he will be forced to stand there and trade with Pedro. But Dominick Cruz, I know people say he's pillow fist, but I think he does have some pop on his shots, as we've seen him drop Faber, and he has he has knocked out Tair Mizugaki. I don't believe he has pillow fist per se. I would say he has decent power, but it's not knockout power. But there is some thud on his shot. I'm going to take in a very close fight Dominick Cruz to get the decision, as I believe he's going to be able to touch up Pedro Munhoz. He may get hit with the harder shots, Dominick, but I believe Dominick's going to be able to just tag up Pedro and get a spot right outside the top 5 where he can probably fight an eliminator next. So Dominick Cruz decision. There will be no finish in the fight. So if you're going to take anything, I would recommend take the over or just take fight goes to decision prop. So Dominick Cruz to get the win is my prediction. To Josh Emmett versus Dan Ige. What a fight this is to finish off the prelims. Starting with Josh Emmett, he is the most powerful featherweight on the roster in my opinion. In 6 featherweight fights, he has 10 knockdowns. 4 coming in his first fight, and even in his loss to Jeremy Stephens, he got a knockdown. Every opponent he's fought has gone to the canvas, and I believe it will be the same against Dan Ige, but that's for later. So, Josh Emmett, he's coming off wins over Shane Burgos, Bektik, and Michael Johnson. Now, he was down in the Michael Johnson fight, but it shows it only takes one, as Josh Emmett has good cardio, and if he lands on you, as I said, you will go down. And he brutally knocked out Michael Johnson. He finished Bektik with relative ease in round 1, and Shane Burgos he had a war with, but again, he was on one leg, dropped Shane Burgos twice, and just proved that he is one of the most dangerous featherweights on the roster. He's fast, he's got wrestling, but he is 36, turning 37, so if he's going to make a run, this is his final chance to do it. Going to Dan Ige, one of the toughest men on the featherweight roster. 50k Ige, he used to be Dynamite Dan, now he's 50k, as he knocked out Gavin Tucker brutally. He's kind of lost to the Korean Zombie, but I do think the Korean Zombie is underrated because of his Brian Ortega performance going into that fight. So, no shame in that loss for Dan Ige. As I said, he knocked out Gavin Tucker, and before that, he got outboxed by Qatar. But another guy that's underrated now, just because he lost to Holloway, who is, in my opinion, the best featherweight on the roster. Yeah, Dan Ige's only went down once to Barboza in what was a win. But my personal opinion, I think Josh Emmett is going to... I don't know if he'll finish him, but I believe Josh Emmett is going to drop Dan Ige. Probably not finish him, but get control time. I believe he's faster. I believe he's got better wrestling. And I believe Dan Ige's toughness will keep him in the fight. But I believe Josh Emmett's going to get a dominant decision, dropping Dan Ige in about 1 or 2 rounds. So Josh Emmett, decision. That's what I believe. Take it to the... So now we're going to go on to Sean O'Malley versus Julian Piva. The Sugar Show is back and hopefully better than ever. So starting with Sean O'Malley, he's coming off 2 wins to Chris the Living Punchbag Martino and Thomas the definition of Chinny Almeida. Sean O'Malley is got a similar style to Dominick Cruz, not in the way he punches or kicks, but the movement. He will move, switch stance, keep a jab in your face, and he has more power than Dominick Cruz. He has better kicks. He likes to spin a lot, and he does look for the highlight in all his fights. Now, let's go to Julian Piva, who I believe is quite an underrated fighter going into this matchup. He beat Kyler Phillips, who I believe has a bright future in the bantamweight division and is a Sean O'Malley training partner. But I believe that is to the advantage of Sean O'Malley, as he will be training with Kyler, and Kyler Phillips can tell him what to do against Julian, what works. And yeah, so Julian Piva, before that flyweight, he beat Zalgas Zumagulov, who recently got knocked out by Cape, and he beat Mark De La Rosa, who's Montana De La Rosa's husband, I believe. So Julian Piva, again in the Kyler Phillips fight, he gritted out that decision. He got brutally 10-8 in round 1, dropped. He was on the brink of getting finished, but he used his toughness in round 2 and 3 to put it on Kyler, and he was able to get a decision. I thought it was a draw. He should have 100% been 10-8 in round 1, but what can you do about it? So, saying this, I think Sean O'Malley's going to knock him out, finish the job Kyler Phillips started. Kyler Phillips gassed out, putting everything in round 1. I feel Sean O'Malley finishes him, drops him. Sean O'Malley will let him get up, not waste all his energy, and he will just put it on him and most likely get maybe even a spin kick knockout if he's got him hurt bad enough. So, my opinion, Sugar Train, Sugar Show, it continues. Let's keep going. On to the next fight we go. Kai Kara France versus Cody No love for Garbrandt. What a fight this is. Cody Garbrandt's flyweight debut. We've all been waiting for it. Now, Cody, he was meant to go down here a year ago to fight Figueiredo. But he pulled out against Figueiredo, where Alex Perez actually stepped in and he fought Rob Font. But there's no shame in the Rob Font loss, as Rob Font has proven he is elite in his fight with Jose Aldo, which he did lose, but he outlanded him and he showed his heart. Now, Kai Kara France's opponent, they call him Don't Blink. I don't believe he's the most powerful, even though he did flatten Rogerio Bontorin. But Rogerio does struggle with weight cutting and he ain't the best fighter. But there could be a situation like that as Cody Garbrandt. We haven't seen him make the weight before, and if he looks bad on the scales, he may get took out if he's already chinny. So if he's struggling to make it down there, that's definitely not going to help him. He's coming off, as I said, he's coming off win over Rogerio. Before that, he lost to Brandon Royval. And I believe before that, he beat Tyson Nam. Now, Tyson Nam win, that's an alright win. Tyson Nam is quite one-dimensional, right cross. That's really all he brings, and leg kicks. But a decent fighter. Now, Cody Garbrandt's coming off a loss to Font, as I said, a win over Assunção, then 3 knockout losses, where he got knocked out by Pedro Munhoz and TJ Dillashaw twice. But he, in them fights, especially the first TJ one, he weren't outclassed. It's just he let his anger get the better of him and he got took out because of it. I'm going to take Cody Garbrandt in this fight. I believe he's going to knock out Kai Kara France. He got dropped multiple times by Brandon Royval, Kai Kara. And I believe Cody Garbrandt just hits different than most of these flyweights. And he's always been fast. I believe his speed ain't going to be the same in the division. But I believe if Cody Garbrandt hits most of these flyweights, they're going to go out. So, but it is very risky. If you're going to bet on Kai Kara, take him by knockout. But my opinion, Cody Garbrandt for the win. We got Jeff Hands of Steel nil versus Santiago, the Argentine dagger, Ponzinibio. I did prefer Gente Boa, but we move on. Anyway, so Jeff Neal, in his last 2 fights, he lost to Neil Magny at wonderweight. Now, he lost these fights by getting kept at range and just picked off, as Jeff Neal likes to scrap and get on the inside. Now, Santiago Ponzinibio, he's coming off a win against Miguel Baeza. The win doesn't look the best, as Chaos Williams absolutely flatlined Miguel. Ponzinibio couldn't. But Ponzinibio, I believe that was more of a fight where he needed to get some rust off and come back and try to get to his full potential. Before that, he got knocked out by the Leech, Li Jinglang, where I believe that was because of ring rust, and he got barely any time in, so he was still getting the rust off against Baeza, I believe. Now, before that, before his big long break, he beat Neil Magny by knockout, which Jeff Neal couldn't do. So just hold that. MMA math doesn't work, but just remember that. Jeff Neal recently, about a week ago, was caught driving around drunk on Thanksgiving with an illegal firearm. So ever since John Jones has stopped fighting, we got someone to take his place, Jeff Neal. Jeff Bones Neal. Let's get to it. Okay, I'm taking Santiago just because of that. Santiago Ponzinibio is most likely going to knock him out if Jeff Neal has not been training, as Santiago is a dangerous man. And we've seen what he's done to high-level people such as Gunnar Nelson, Neil Magny. I believe Jeff Neal, his wins over Mike Perry, Nico Price, he doesn't win over Bilal, but I don't think he's as good as he is now, Bilal. Back then, I believe he was a bit more raw. So I believe Jeff Neal can beat someone that will scrap with him, like a Nico Price or Mike Perry. But I believe when it comes to it, Santiago Ponzinibio is going to be able to jab him off, kick his leg, and I believe get the decision. I don't believe he's going to get a knockout, but I believe he's going to get the decision and maybe make one last run. I believe Jeff Neal is dangerous is there for the knockout, but Jeff Neal, I believe his level is more with the Nico Prices, Mike Perry's. Maybe after this fight, Jeff Neal could fight Daniel Rodriguez. That would be a good fight for him. But on to the next week. We got Amanda Nunes versus Juliana, the Venezuelan vixen. No, that is a decent nickname, Pena. I think we all know what's going to happen here. Amanda Nunes is going to brutally beat down Juliana Pena. Either stop her, probably stand and TKO, maybe drop her, finish off ground and pound, or get a submission on her. As Juliana Pena recently got submitted by Jermaine Durandamy, who is known for getting submitted. If you beat Jermaine, you're going to submit her or hold her down. And Jermaine almost von Fludo in round 2 and then got a guillotine in round 3. Like, you can say Jermaine has improved, but don't want to be getting submitted by a kickboxer. So Amanda Nunes, I believe, just look at the wrong she's on. Beat Megan Anderson, beat Felicia Spencer, who did look alright in her last fight, Felicia. Before that, I believe she beat Durand Me, who beat Pena, beat Holly Holm, beat Cyborg. Amanda Nunes is a force to be reckoned with. I'm just gonna lean. I'm not even gonna lean. I'm just gonna outright pick Nunes to get a round 2 finish. I believe Pena is tough and scrappy, and she will get to most likely round 2. But I believe being tough and scrappy can only get you so far. And when Nunes is punching you in the face, trying to submit you and knock you out, she's gonna do what she wants. So Amanda Nunes for the win. We're going to finish off the card. We got Charles the Bronx Oliveira versus Dustin the Diamond Poirier. What a fight and what a main event. Starting off with the champ, Charles Oliveira. Last fight, he completely sparked Michael Chandler. Now, obviously, the tough round 1 was dropped, but he fought his way through it. So credit to him. He was known as a quitter before that fight, and he proved to the haters, no, I'm more than that. Before that, he beat the ghost of Tony Ferguson, and he submitted Kevin Lee, who, funny enough, tapped and then kept trying to fight Charles after. Kevin also recently got cut by the UFC. A bit of a, I don't think he should have been cut, but just saying, Charles Oliveira's wins before Tony and Chandler have not been the best. I believe before that he beat Jared Gordon, not Gooden. He would probably still beat Gooden, but beat Jared Gordon, and he also beat, I believe before that, David Tamer. So, good run from Oliveira, decent fighters, but, compared to Dustin's run, Dustin has fought McGregor twice. See, McGregor in the third fight had a foot injury. So, but Dustin was controlling McGregor on the ground. No round 2, but, he did look good in round 1. Knocked out McGregor with calf kicks. In the fights, he was getting outpointed a bit, and I believe Charles Oliveira does have a similar style to McGregor with the front kicks, Muay Thai leg kicks. But, Charles Oliveira doesn't have the same power as Conor McGregor, I believe. Before that, Dustin Poirier got a win over Dan Hooker, who's durable, tough, but recently been exposed as if you are high level, you will beat him. He lost to Khabib, but everyone loses to Khabib. And before that, beat Max Holloway, who is probably the best boxer in the UFC. Dustin Poirier upset his rhythm and put it on him to win the decision. Very nice fight. I think everyone knows Charles Oliveira is dangerous on the ground, can submit anyone, and his striking has improved so much from when he first came into the UFC, so he does have a knockout threat on him now. Dustin Poirier, he will come forward, he'll throw a nice jab, he has good leg kicks, good switch stance combos, a lot of hooks in there, nice body attack, head attack. He can wrestle a bit, but I don't think he really wants to wrestle against Charles. Charles, I believe, similar to McGregor, can kick Dustin's leg, front kick him, hit him with a clean jab, and I believe he's going to look like he's winning the first 2 rounds. But it's later on in the fight who's going to pull through. Charles Oliveira's never went round 4 and 5. Dustin Poirier lives in them 2 rounds. And Charles Oliveira, he showed heart in the Chandler fight. But showing heart when you're fresh early on, you still got energy in you. It's different when it's late rounds, you're tired, and then you're getting it put on you dropped. I don't think it's going to be the same. I think Dustin Poirier is destined to become UFC champion. Charles Oliveira's already got the championship, which people say he was destined to do after having a slow start to his career. So I believe Dustin Poirier's going to top off his career with the one thing he's missing, which is the lightweight belt. Give me Dustin Poirier, round 4, or round 4. I'll take round 4, TKO, finishing Charles Oliveira with strikes. Then he'll follow him to the ground. I don't think he'll follow him early if he hurts him, but he'll go on a tired Oliveira on the ground and pound him out, get the finish. So thank you for listening. This has been my prediction video, and I am out.